Hey everyone, just got back from Ponyo, and I think they Americanized the pronunciation in the dub to Ponyo, um, which is alright, I guess. There's my ticket stub right there, and with my initial impressions, keep in mind that's what they are, their initial impressions. This is going to be technically called a review. But with Miyazaki movies especially, I really have to view them at least twice to really get a full judgment on them. The visuals are just stunning, as you would expect with any Ghibli film. I've actually heard that Miyazaki himself took upon himself to animate the waves and the water, particularly, and those are some of the most spectacular images and scenes from the film. It has a very distinct style and look to it, especially nowadays. It's very old looking, very old school, I would say, with lots of watercolors, and particularly the house where they live looks very much like out of a picture book or a children's book. And it's very refreshing, actually. I actually didn't quite like it at first because usually in Ghibli films they take the time to do the distinctive anime detail-oriented backgrounds that are manga inspired, but here it's very simple looking, but like I said, very refreshing, especially nowadays, and it's with all this CG movies, animation and stuff. It's great to see that old school traditional animation come to light. In terms of story and characters and all that, I feel that this movie compares favorably to My Neighbor Totoro because both of these films are clearly aimed towards kids. They're kids' films. But I feel like Ponyo is weaker in this regard, especially compared to Totoro, where Ponyo is like 100%, the message is really geared towards kids, which is okay, but it loses some of its universality and resonance. Whereas I feel Totoro is a more powerful film overall in terms of message and story, and it's just better constructed. Ponyo's story is simple, and I feel that sort of hurts it in a way. The characters really don't have to overcome much on their way through the plot. There's really not much conflict going on or tension. Again, with Totoro, there's or not a lot, but a fair bit amount of that going on. Also, I feel like with the characters that it doesn't really follow the standard plot devices, I guess you would say, where the characters are dynamic, meaning that they change over time or change from the beginning to the end. And this happens a lot, obviously, in the Ghibli movies and a lot of other stories. But here, I feel like that doesn't happen. Like, pretty much every character, especially the main characters, are static, meaning that they don't change, really. And I want you to pay attention if you go watch the movie to this particular aspect, because I think this really hurts it in terms of story. Because usually you want at least one really fluid, dynamic character. But here, there really isn't, I feel. But of course, when it gets down to it, it is a kids' movie. But in terms of like people my age or older really getting something out of it, I feel like it's definitely not as powerful as even Totoro is, Miyazaki's other giant children's movie. Let me speak for a moment about the dub and the English voices. I haven't seen the Japanese version, so I really can't make a comparison. But I felt this dub was actually pretty good, considering what I thought of the cast when they announced it, to be quite troublesome. Noah Cyrus, Miley Cyrus's younger sister, plays Ponyo. The fourth Jonas brother plays Sosuke, the other main character. And they do a serviceable job. I mean, they're kids. So it's really hard to judge, and especially Ponyo's lines. There are a lot of, one word, 2 word lines. Um, Again, hard to judge, but I feel in terms of the Disney dubs, where the Disney dubs of the Ghibli films have been all very, very, very S-class, very, very excellent work. This one is about middle of the road. Um, but let's hit on the other voices here. Tina Fey plays the mom, Lisa, and she does a very good job. And I was quite surprised with her performance. And then Liam Neeson plays Fujimoto, and he's by far the best, but of course he's Liam Neeson, so he really kind of steals the show in terms of voice acting. But overall, a serviceable dub but as I said, in terms of the Disney dubs, it's like average, but in terms of overall dubs, it's still very, very, very good. Which brings me to my overall feeling of the movie, where I feel this is one of Miyazaki's weakest films. But I mean, when you say that Miyazaki has a weak film, it's still like excellent compared to anything else. I still feel that this is one of the best movies I've seen in the theaters in a while. And certainly one of the best animations. I still think that Up is better at this point. Again, I have to see it again, really, to make another full judgment. I think what really helps out Ponyo is that it has a lot of those memorable Ghibli moments, where I think Howl, which I feel is another one of Miyazaki's weaker films, didn't have that. And it certainly pays to watch it in the theaters. So if you have a chance to go see it, go see it. This is the biggest opening for a Miyazaki movie or a Ghibli film ever in the States. So you have your opportunity, so don't miss out. Go watch it in the theaters. It's definitely worth it. Not Miyazaki's best, but certainly an excellent film overall. And be sure to check out iSugoi's podcast review of the film, where me, Douglas, Alrio, and Crazy Kembe give our more in-depth thoughts about the entire film.